The last time I felt like a woman was today, when I was riding on public transport.
I live in harmony with myself, with my body. I just imagine I wake up in the morning with breasts. So what am I supposed to do with them?
When I find a girl who looks better than me as a girl, then my life will be a success.
I have a good relationship with my mom. My dad sometimes calls me an a-hole.
Who is an androgyne?
It's a person who has similarities with one or the other gender or has some differences.
I think it's a person who has character traits of both genders.
I don't understand why so many people use certain cliches. If a person has long hair and some features that resemble the opposite gender, people immediately call them androgynous. People seemingly needed to label it, so they did.
Who are you, a man or a woman?
I feel like Andre and just feel like a person, and then everything else comes after that. I understand that I'm a boy, but I feel like Andre.
Sometimes I feel like a man, and sometimes I feel like a complete woman. The last time I felt like a woman was today when I was riding on public transport.
Who do I feel like I am? Of course, I feel like a man. I can look however I want, but the most important thing is that my actions are clear, confident, and carry a sense of responsibility. A man's actions define him.
Is androgyny the same as homosexuality?
Androgyny and homosexuality are not the same thing. Androgyny very rarely implies homosexual relationships. Just because a person has an aesthetic that makes them like girls, they might even maybe project that a little onto themselves.
That's the stereotype I'm afraid of. I want to show that it's not the same thing.
You have to somehow label it. Gay, androgynous. What's the difference? If someone wants to look like a girl and sleeps with men, good for them. If they want to look like a girl and don't want to sleep with men or women, good for them too.
When I find a girl who looks better than me as a girl, then my life will be a success.
I've had relationships, how many? 4.5 years. I dated a girl who told me, when you started going to the gym and got muscles, I didn't like it.
Tell us about your childhood. Did you feel different from other kids?
In my childhood, I had problems because I wasn't like other boys. For example, I liked wearing jewelry. Yes, my mom's jewelry.
There are 5 people in my family, I mean children. We are all completely different, each with our own quirks. And my parents just saw that I was another successful, cool, outstanding child.
I talked more with my mom. I think my mom probably liked this kind of attention. Dad didn't like it. Dad, I think he wanted an ordinary son he could be proud of. My father sometimes calls me a fuckant.
Was I mistaken for a girl when I was a child? Yes, always. Very well, at that moment my parents were working. They explained whether it was good or bad. I never had a situation like, here you were mistaken for a girl and you absolutely have to behave differently now. That never happened.
I would come to school and they could call me names. They did call me names and could push me, but there was never any obvious beating or anything like that.
They called me a fuckwit. I really acted like a fuckwit. I could, grow my nails out 3 millimeters, get a manicure, and just sit in class like that. Sharpen my nails.
I can't say that I was bullied as a child. There weren't really any harsh or negative comments, no. They could say to me, you're a doll.
The homeroom teacher, even when I wasn't at school, kept the kids after class for a homeroom hour, which usually everyone was let go from, and had a talk with them. That Andre is just a unique person, that he's just an individual with his own particular traits, and that there's no need to treat him badly. At school, I mostly hung out with the girls because at first, girls are smarter. Some guys treated me neutrally, sometimes negatively, but mostly neutrally. They could say something sarcastic to you during class, but at the same time during a math test, we somehow became the closest friends. Because we both understood that we would get about the same grade, we both understood things about the same, and it was easier for us to think together. But then math would end and everything would go back to the way it was.
What problems are you facing right now?
Specifically because of androgyny, I had a situation in my life when a group of drunk guys started following me, loudly discussing what they were going to do to me, how they were going to kill me. It was in the evening, so whether you ignore it or not, you still hear it. It was scary.
There are people who who just have to tell you who you are, what you are, and how you are.
Hey, why is your butt better than your friends? Are you trying to offend me with that?
You don't look right. You're not living the right way. I think these people probably have a high likelihood of having their own doubts and questions about themselves.
I was at McDonald's. I went into the restroom and a guy comes in, he looks at me, then looks at the sign like, did he make a mistake or not? I told him it's all right, come in dear.
Is this your passport? Yes. And where are you going and why are you going? When did you have the surgery or have you already had it? I handed over my card, but they said, Miss, this isn't your card, it says mail here. I replied, Miss, look carefully.
Miss, how do I get to such and such a place? I'm not a miss, but here's how you get there, or you can just go this way. And she already understands by my voice. Oh.
There were times when he suggested getting acquainted, but I simply had to open my eyes and see the guy standing right in front of me. Yeah, with long hair just like that. There were times when I actually went to nightclubs, and they let me in as a girl. Yeah, what's so strange about that? Well, you were the ones who got confused, not me.
Have you ever thought about changing your gender?
No, I don't plan to. I can't comprehend why people would do that.
I'm not against changing gender, and I'm considering it. Well, it's a possible perspective for the future. It may be easier for me as a woman.
No, I've never thought about it. I'm 31 years old. I live in harmony with myself and with my body. I just imagine I'll wake up in the morning with breasts. What am I supposed to do with them?
I like being a guy, Andre, with long hair, with a feminine face, with a very small Adam's apple.
I love my body. I love myself the way I am.
Are you comfortable living in Belarus?
Living in Belarus is wonderful. I love and adore this country.
For a person who is different from the majority, it's comfortable to live in Belarus if he has a decent circle of friends and knows how to ignore the crowd. Then it's comfortable to live anywhere, however you want, and look however you want.
I never had issues in Belarus, only in Europe, where I experienced judgmental looks. There, they might even ask you to leave and go into a restroom that doesn't have any sign indicating whether it's men's or women's. Or they might ask you to use the women's restroom so as not to make the men uncomfortable.
At the same time, I feel both good and comfortable in Belarus, and at the same time, I don't. It's good because I get a lot of attention. If I lived abroad, walking down the street, I'd attract less attention from passers-by. But on the other hand, you can easily encounter aggression from people.
Are you planning to start a family?
I have no desire for kids or a family. Starting a family before being financially stable is unwise, in my opinion. I don't enjoy being around children. I'd prefer if they weren't in my vicinity.
Yes, I want to start a family with someone I love. It could be a girl, it could be a boy.
No. At the moment, I don't have any plans to start a family because I don't consider myself ready for it. Maybe it's because there isn't someone nearby whom you would want to see. It doesn't matter to me what kind of person it is. It doesn't matter to me what gender they are. What matters to me is that I feel good inside.
Can you imagine that you might want to stop being an androgynous person?
Living as an androgynous person is difficult for me to understand. I struggle to make sense of how it actually feels. I apologize if my words offended anyone. I personally don't feel that way. To me, a person is simply a person. A man is a man.
Well, that could be, but it just means I've shifted more to this side. Yes, maybe to the male side or maybe to the female side.
I can imagine a situation where I wake up and get tired of my femininity, but I can't imagine a situation where I get tired of my masculinity. I could never get tired of my masculine side because it's easy to give up long hair, but to give up the ability to hang a chandelier, hammer in a nail, or punch someone in the face, that's something you can't give up. That's just too cool.